Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So how to avoid getting scammed when buying a used Mac computer. Alright, let's talk about this. So, when you're buying a used Macintosh computer, it doesn't matter if it's a laptop or if it's an iMac type desktop or even one of the Mac Pro Towers. Every single Macintosh computer has its model number and serial number in an ultra fine print on the back. You pretty much need a magnifying glass to read this stuff. So, whenever you're buying or thinking about buying a used Mac computer, doesn't matter if it's at a pawn shop or a private deal, you're best to always go to the location to where it's located so you can check it out in person, because you're going to have to check it out in order to verify 100% you're not getting scammed. The problem with what's going on with being scammed is, the prime example is that 2009 MacBook behind me. The people who bought it about a year ago or so from a guy, private deal obviously, and it had OS X Catalina on it. So they were under the impression of a few things. One, they were buying a computer with a legitimate operating system on it that was still current and fully supported by Apple on that computer. Two, that it was also a 2011. Now, they put up a post on Marketplace stating, I need access to a USB stick if I can even borrow one, so I can put Catalina back on my MacBook so I can sell it. Okay, well, I came across that ad by chance. I'm always scoring Marketplace for a good deal on another Mac of some sort because I'm kind of collecting a few of them right now. Anyways, I talked to the guy and I says, well, you know, you don't need the stick. If you've got Catalina on there already, then, you know, you just do the command sequence required in order to go straight to the internet and do the format, do the install, away you go, and you're off to the races. So I helped him out with the way in which to do this. Even to try and get back to the original operating system, which is not Catalina, wasn't working out either. But he got stopped dead in his tracks at Apple on the install. It won't do it. Okay, so that's because it's an unsupported OS, and Apple knows he's got an unsupported OS on that computer. So, yep, nailed. Anyhow, that's Apple, right? I love Apple security. So anyways, I said, well, you know, what year is this thing? He tells me it's a 2011. Okay, so Google, MacBook Pro 2011, 17-inch, yeah, okay, 17-inch specs. He had shot me a picture, right? And type it in. I said, that thing doesn't support past High Sierra. I says, High Sierra hasn't been supported in years either, you know, so it's unsupported. But you could get High Sierra at least back on there. That I could help you with, but I mean, you're going to pay me a bill. I'm not going to do that for free. I'm certainly not going to loan out my sticks. But I also didn't have it on hand. I'd have to go to my buddies to get it, but I did have El Capitan here regardless. Anyway, I said, what you got on there is a hacked OS. Catalina that's on there is hacked in. So that means that it's not safe for the internet either, because you're running an unsecure, unsupported operating system, and the operating system has to be modified to begin with in order to be installed on an unsupported Mac. So that requires not only a loader program like Clover or DDoS, for example, but also a modified version of the operating system to go along with it to go on. So who even knows that there isn't some sort of a worm or a Trojan hidden inside one of those two files that you've downloaded to hack in this OS, and they're stealing your identity. You know, I mean, come on, it happens. We live in a world of scammers, okay? World of hackers too. And having a free opened operating system that has been hacked in, that's now unsecured, yeah, you're a target easy, you know. So if a hacker came across you, yeah, you got a really good chance your identity could be taken from you, your credit cards, your bank accounts drained, everything. You could lose it all. It's a real thing, people. It's not, you know, stuff in the movies. All right, but you know, there is some truth to be said about stuff in the movies that actually does happen in real life. Watch the movie The Net with Sandra Bullock. You'll see what I'm talking about. That stuff actually does happen for real, and has been able to happen since way back in the day. Anyway, so how do we avoid getting scammed, Kev? Well, you have a model number and serial number on the back. That's the starting point. You have to visually see this. Then you open up the computer, you go to About This Mac. Okay, so if you go to the Apple menu, you fire up the computer and you click on About This Mac, and you scroll down and you select it, and it's going to give you information on here, which is going to include a serial number, the year, if it's an early, mid, or late version, okay, and you're going to compare the serial number to what's on the back. Those need to match. Now, how far is a scammer willing to take things? Well, I'm going to tell you, they're willing to take things far enough that they'll even change the back cover if they need to make it that much more legit, okay? That can happen. In the case of this thing, that didn't happen, but it can happen, okay? And it does every day, and we have come across instances like that. So, but how is that possible, though? Well, thing is, eBay's full of old Macs, especially in lot deals where you can get a whole skid full of, you know, Macs in various conditions for next to nothing, okay? And then you buy them up as parts to repair with and get a few of them functional, and you could resell them and make a few bucks here and there and so on, right? Well, among the scammer world, they do this a lot because they want back covers. Because what happens is when unsupported OSs are put into Macs, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, depends on the loader system and the mods required from that person with that loader, it will alter the model year of the MacBook, and it can also alter the serial number. And it's like, interesting. So, end story on that sucker, it's not a 2011. I bought it off them for 50 bucks. I said, in all good conscience, if you're going to sell this to somebody private, then you're going to have to let them know that there's no way it can go on the internet safely and securely. Now, we assumed it was a 2011. Now, he didn't end up wanting to go the route of paying me even to go and put High Sierra on, which ended up being a good thing too, because it turns out it's not a 2011, it's a 2009. And the 2009 MacBook Pros ended at El Capitan. So, me thinks me smells something, right? So, the loader or the modified OS to go into hack it in as Catalina altered stuff on the laptop, mainly the year. I didn't even bother to check the serial number on this one to see if it matched the back, because the year had already been modified. It probably did modify the serial number anyways, and whatever. So I didn't check, but it doesn't matter. It was bought for myself anyways. So I gave him 50 bucks for the thing. You know, I said I could use it for GarageBand and that'd be about it. Maybe a couple of cheesy games. You know, I mean, I don't mind, because I've been looking for something for just this sort of thing. And even I might even throw Windows 7 on it, which I did, to play a network game. Keeps it off the internet, have fun with my buddy. It's a cheap investment, and if it ever dies, who cares? You know, but so I bought it, and that's what happened. It turned out to be a 2009. And by the way, it was extremely painful and excruciating time to even get that drive to even reformat. That was done pretty trickily. You know, I had a hard time with that. But I did get it. So that was good. Now, my 2012 here is definitely fully legit Catalina, fully legit of everything that it is. Serial numbers match front and back. The OS is definitely legit. I reloaded it myself right from the Apple server. So, and of course the 2012 MacBook Pros do actually end at Catalina. Now Catalina, by the way, is off support, but it does still have security updates that Apple is offering, which is really good. The last word on the internet, and this does not come from Apple because they don't even know how long they're going to support it for, but the latest word on the internet is support for Catalina for security updates to keep you safe on the internet is supposed to end in the summer of 2022 at some point. So we at least know we're good till then. That's great. Not that I'm worried about surfing on that thing, because, you know, I do use it for some surfing, but I'm running Windows 10 on it. It's actually going to be the new gaming machine to play with my buddy, because it's got a lot more video power and everything that I need than what that does. So that's just my GarageBand thing. So I even took Windows 7 off of that and put the hard drive all back to normal. So now it's just a straight Mac OS and that's it. So now this one here has my Windows 10 operating system on it. The only thing that was fishy about this one here when I bought it from the Hawk Shop was simply that the RAM that was in it turned out to be the wrong speed of RAM. I kind of wondered why an 8 gig machine supported by Apple had an 8 gigger in one slot only. But also I was having some glitches when it was running, and I thought, okay, I'm going to check into this. So I check into the specs and it tells me, oh, 1333 megahertz. Well, that has been used in Macs. You know, okay, fine. But then I go and I check everymac.com and it's supposed to be 1600 megahertz and 2 4s to give it 8 gigs. Not a single 8, but 2 4s. So it's like, okay, that kind of somewhat makes a little bit of sense. Now, OWC will support 2 8s to max this to 16 gigs. Apple only supports up to 8 gigs in this laptop by their specs. But OWC makes specialized RAM, as does a few other companies, at the same 1600 megahertz level because it has to match the laptop for what it can run. See, you can't go above or below RAM speeds unless the computer supports it. And Macs are pretty strict. What they support is what they support. That's it. PCs, they can support different RAMs, but they still have to be matched, because if you mix match RAM in a PC, same as you would in a Mac, if you're trying to run one higher, one lower, you would expect that the higher one would come down to the lower side. Well, it actually doesn't, because if it did, it wouldn't glitch out and crash your computer randomly like it does on a PC. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And sometimes you can actually literally fry your computer. Some computers have been known to just go up in smoke as soon as you turn the power button on because of the mixed RAM. It doesn't always happen, but it has happened. We've known it to happen. And I've been an Apple technician now for 31 years and a PC tech for about 28 years, okay? But I've in total been involved with Apple computers much, much longer, actually since 1981, 82 time period, and I was certified in 1990. So, got a lot of years at this. But I kind of figured, you know, this worked out good. But I do have 2 4s in here now at the proper speed. By the way, just as an FYI, always reset the PRAM on your Mac when you're messing with a RAM upgrade. Or in this case, putting the RAM back to where it should be. And zap it 4 times in a row. Your initial first, and then 3 extras. And once you've done the 4th one, let go, and then let it boot. And the thing really, it flies nice. It boots so much faster than it ever did before. You know, so do zap the PRAM. It really does make a difference. Even though the Mac does automatically set things up, you still have to zap PRAM for everything else to comply, and that's the way it goes. So anyway, now, how else do you avoid getting scammed? Well, you definitely need to go face-to-face with this person so that you can make sure everything's legit there with serial numbers and all that jazz. But the only other thing is it could still have a little hidey. Now that little hidey is going to be whether or not it has a supported OS on it or not. Now generally you can just search out model and serial and find out what year it is and if it's a mid-level or early, and that should tell you that is going to tell you the last supported OS. So if it has Big Sur, for example, on a 2012 laptop, it's definitely got a hacked operating system, right? Because Big Sur is not supported on the 2012. However, Big Sur is supported on a lot of the 2013 MacBooks. So rest assured, there are some 2013s that can run Big Sur. However, with iMacs, you cannot run Big Sur. And I think one of the Mac Pros you could. I would have to double check on that if I remember. But I know for sure that you had to have a minimum of a 2014 iMac to run Big Sur. You cannot do it on a 2013 iMac. I had a 2013 late iMac and I couldn't run Big Sur, and I barked at Apple about it because I said, look, your 2013 MacBook, it runs Big Sur. Well, yeah, but I don't care if it's a MacBook. All an iMac is basically a laptop inside a pretty case with a big screen, okay? I mean, seriously, we know this. Well, it's kind of not quite like that, but it's pretty darn close, let me tell you. Anyways, so I was a little miffed at them because I did have to replace my computer. Although, now that I know I probably am good to 2013, I could have gone and still kept that one, but I have such a far better machine now. I've got a 5K Retina display, late 2015, beautiful computer. Really love it, it's great. And especially with the RAM upgrade I did to it and the SSD drive, thing flies. Anyways, so if it has a butchered in OS or hacked in OS, then it's definitely a red flag, because the cover could match, the About This Mac could match, but is it really what it says it is? The only way to really find out is to be there face to face and say, look, I'd like to have this turned on to the internet for a minute. I want to start the system restore on the internet server to this particular OS, okay, to make sure that I'm actually getting what you say you have there, because there's a lot of scams going on the internet. Explaining it that way speaks volumes. You're being cautious. If they have nothing to hide, they will allow you to do that. If they have something to hide, they will refuse you, in which case that's been doctored, okay? Which means you need to walk and say, thank you very much, have a nice day, I'll keep shopping, I'll find something else elsewhere. This goes on all the time. Look what happened to these folks. That's a 2009, not a 2011. And even the 2011 does not support Catalina. It only supports up to High Sierra. And they were still misled. Okay, they didn't know to look at the back cover. They didn't know to compare the back cover with the About This Mac. They didn't know to ask to do the internet install for the most current OS to make sure that that Catalina was really official Catalina. Okay, and it can happen. People can get stung. Why do you think I'm doing this video? Help you to not get stung. All right, there's a lot of shifty stuff going on out there, trust me, and I can definitely tell there's probably at least a dozen Mac systems right now on Marketplace that are the shifty ones, and it's very, well, it's not that it's easy to pick them out, it's very suspicious, especially when they actually are crazy enough to not only list the year, which would be an authentic year, but they also list that it has that OS. I'm surprised with eBay scammers. Some of these are coming right out in the open, which is like, you got to be joking me. I was looking on eBay at Mac systems, and there's this one company that's selling even older Macs that have multiple leveled up above supported. They are admitting, we have this operating system on here, but it's totally fine because it's a supported OS, but you can go back to this one, which is its normal last generation. So they're being honest about ripping you off. But at the same time, here's the word of caution. If you're running a hacked in OS, because this literally it is, you're creating a Macintosh out of a Mac, okay? Same way you take a PC and hack in a Mac OS. It's a Macintosh. You're putting an unsupported operating system on a computer that's not meant for it, okay? Either way, we're a Macintosh. So you're hacking it in. Anyway, so they're coming out and they're admitting this already, that they've installed an unsupported OS. You have no security from Apple. You have no assistance from Apple. You have no recourse on Apple. You have no support, period. Okay, and even though these websites that do these hack things, some of them will actually put up, oh, here's your up-to-date security stuff. You can download that in and install it so you're more up-to-date in security. It's still not going to help you. It's still a hacked OS. Even the mighty internet websites know if you're running a hacked OS on your computer. Some will let you on, some won't. You know, a lot of them actually will, though, which is surprising because some of them aren't up to snuff on that stuff. But, you know, it's like me. I run El Capitan on that. I have a secure browser. I have Google Chrome on there, the most recent version. So my browser is secure. My OS isn't. most of the websites I tried surfing on that as an experiment wouldn't even let me on because they knew that I had an unsecure operating system. Yeah, it's legit, but they know it's an unsecured legit OS. So going on the internet, even with a legitimate operating system that has been out of support forever, a lot of sites you can't go to, and you are running unsecure. Even with a secure browser, you're still unsecure, so you still don't dare do banking. Don't use your credit cards. Don't sign into crap, because you are going to probably get hacked along the way. It can happen, you know. Some of them are random attacks, but it's still an attack. And you know, I would rather see a hacker go after a secure Mac, because you know, secure Macs are virtually impossible for hackers. They have to be a really darn good hacker to hack into a Mac, okay, that's secure. But it's really easy if it's an unsecure Mac out there, or one with a hacked-in OS, shall we say. It's still unsecure, right? Non-supported by Apple in any way. So they love seeing computers like that show up online, you know, because then they're easier targets, you know. And if you're crazy enough to still do your online banking and stuff, well, that's your bad, man. Don't ask your banks or your credit card companies to come good, because you failed, okay? Now, these are the ways in which to avoid getting scammed on sales. We will talk about it in a separate video on what you should realistically pay for a used Macintosh computer, and we'll give you a bunch of different computers to look at and what we think you should be paying for them realistically and at the very most maximum price range. Because one other thing I will leave in to you on this video is that in less than 2 years' time, Apple has already announced they will be cutting off 100% all support right across the board for all Intel-based processor Macs. So buying a brand new Mac right now is kind of something you don't want to do. Go buy a used one, or an older one that'll run even Big Sur. Something that'll run Big Sur at least, because Big Sur is still going to be secure for at least, probably, rough guess, don't hold me to it, rough guess is going to be hopefully within 2 more years of support, which is in time for the cutoff. But Catalina is supposed to be totally dead and gone by next summer of 2022. Okay, so you are borrowing time right now, even as we speak, on Catalina, because it may be sooner, but Big Sur should at least go through for that 2-year time period on Intel-based Macs that can run Big Sur. Anyways, we'll talk to you in the next video. That's coming right up.